Mr. President, it's an honor to have you back in Ramstein. The whole world has been moved by the courage of Ukraine's forces and the strength of Ukraine's people. And you know firsthand how much this contact group has meant for Ukraine's fight for freedom. President Zelensky, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your words, strong words about our people and about us. Thank you very much, Secretary. And I'm grateful to you for your personal leadership during all these years and your personal involvement, and the United States for coordinating this format and working together with us since the start of the full-scale war. Minister Pistorius and I dearly appreciate your help and Germany's impactful support for all our people, for Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, dear our friends, it's clear that a new chapter starts for Europe and the entire world just 11 days from now, at a time when we have to cooperate even more, rely on one another even more, and achieve even greater results together. And I see this as a time of opportunities, and in almost 3 years of full-scale war, we've shown that when we come and belong together, no one is too small to make a real impact on history. And we've come such a long way that it would honestly be crazy to drop the ball now and not keep building on the defense coalitions we've created, especially since they are already helping us grow and strengthen what's basically our shared defense power. No matter what's going on in the world, everyone wants to feel sure that their country will not just be erased off the map. That used to depend on a handful of big capitals, but now it's on all of us, on how we work together, how ready we are to own our future, and how well we can convince our partners to stand with us. The more determination we show in defending our interests, the more interest our partners, and especially the US, will see it's good to stay on our side. Yesterday, I held a special meeting of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's staff, and the focus was on the production and supply of drones for our soldiers, for our army, and electronic warfare. Drones are something that has already changed the nature of war. And the changes are far from over. Today, there is a direct dependence to stop the advance of the enemy, to stop losing people and territories. We need drones. Drones detour the enemy, keep them at the distance. It can be done. Production of drones in Ukraine is more cost-effective than anywhere else. This year, we in Ukraine want to set a record for the number and quality of drones we produce and get from our partners. And we are focusing on drones that our brigades need to hold the front lines, and drones essential for ensuring security, like maritime drones and drones made for deep strikes on the enemy's military facilities and infrastructure in their territory. We've already signed a significant number of contracts, with many more still in the works, and I urge all of you to get even more actively involved in building up this arsenal of drones. Ukrainians have the most experience in Europe with using drones, and we also have the biggest capacity in Europe to produce drones. So first, please invest more in these Ukrainian strengths, because after the war, it will also be your strengths. Second, invest in the talented people in your countries who can help make all of us stronger in the drone field. Next, we most of the countries represented here, we already have bilateral security cooperation. I'm grateful to those countries with which we've signed bilateral security agreements, 27 of them as of today. And fully implementing these agreements is a real contribution, not only to our security in Ukraine, but also to your security. But we are a bigger number here in Ramstein, much more bigger. Let's pool our strengths together and make such agreements with all the participants. And I'm asking my Minister of Defense to work with the Secretary and with all the ministers to increase the number of these documents. Of course, if partners will support this idea. And I know that it will strengthen our front line, and it will also protect, which is very, very important, especially in winter, it will protect our energy sector too. Not only in Ukraine, but also in your lands. It will boost the security programs. And now we see all the reports with underwater cables in the Baltic Sea, and we all see drone incidents in some countries that are raising serious concerns. We see destabilization in Africa, which threatens Europe with new migration waves. And we are also learning more about how Russian intelligence paid militants in Afghanistan to target coalition soldiers. When your troops were present there, Moscow cashed in to kill your soldiers, American soldiers, NATO country soldiers. How can this be forgiven or forgotten? Russia's hybrid aggression and sabotage against the entire Western world is ongoing. And only by keeping and strengthening our cooperation, by boosting our agreements and coalitions, can we truly protect the normal lives of people in all our countries. I do everything I can to end this war with dignity for Ukraine and all of Europe this year, and I know I can count on your support. And we all must remember that ending the war is our shared goal, not Russians. It's what Ukrainians, Europeans, Americans, and many of our global partners want. Countries as far apart as Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina also wish us peace. But here is the thing: Putin is not just holding on to his investments in aggression. He is doubling down. He has even started basically hiring soldiers from North Korea to keep this war going. North Korea studies modern warfare. They do not value their people, and we know it. They lose them 4,000 as for today. But Pyongyang gets experience cheap to re-export the war, maybe there in the Pacific. At the same time, this collusion with North Korea shows Putin's weakness, because no ruler in Moscow would ever lower themselves to back in Pyongyang unless facing critical problems. So we've got to keep the pressure on Russia. That's what ensures our soldiers get the weapons they need. That's what sanctions are for. And I'm asking all our partners, especially the US and the EU, to turn up the heat on Russia's energy sector. Sanctions are needed against every element of Russian energy, and the Russian tanker fleet must be stopped. Russia's war budget for 2025 is 25% bigger than last year's. If we want to stop the killing, we have got to cut off Putin's cash flow. Putin will start thinking about peace only when his inner circle tells him he is out of money. And one more thing, the key to resisting aggression is motivation, and we know it. Motivation to risk your life to save your country, but motivation needs fuel, and the best fuel is success. I mean successful actions, successful agreements. When our troops can shoot down Russian missiles, including ballistic ones, and keep Russian aircraft away from Ukraine. It provides the motivation we desperately need. And we've had talks with the US about licensing the production of air defense systems and missiles here in Ukraine, and this could become a significant part of our security guarantees, and it's absolutely doable. But we must keep in mind that the last NATO summit promises haven't been fulfilled yet. We need air defense systems. You gave us already, thank you so much, and we need very much systems you promised us. And you've seen what happened yesterday in our city, Zaporizhia. Russia's bombs killed 13 people and 112 were injured. That was just one day, just one attack, one strike from the air. We must stop Russia's terror, and you can do it. And we ask for urgent deliveries of air defense systems. We also need to deliver on all our agreements for frontline supplies. And I want to thank again every country helping us with artillery, armored vehicles, and everything else we need. Our men and women on the front lines need to feel that the world has their back, and nothing proves that better than making sure they have what they need to hit back at Russian attacks. Last year, France came up with the idea to deploy partners, contingents in Ukraine, and you know it, to make peace closer. And we all understand, as for today, Putin's aims remain unchanged, and he wants to totally destroy Ukraine and to break all of us and you too. That's why our goal to find as many instruments as possible to force Russia to peace. I believe that such deployment of partners, contingents, is one of the best instruments. Let's be more practical in making it possible. And we have heard signals also from some of our partners from the United Kingdom in support of this, and we must be brave and we must propose truly strong instruments. For example, take the Kursk operation. It's one of our wins, I think one of the biggest wins, not just last year, but throughout the war. Russia had to pull almost 60,000 troops of the Ukrainian front to deal with it. And as of this Monday, it's been 5 months since our troops have maintained a buffer zone on Russian territory. Many of Russian threats and bold claims turned out to be bluffing, especially after Ukraine's moved into the Kursk region. And I'm sure even more of their threats will prove to be bluffs if we all work even harder. Even harder together to push Russia toward peace. Thank you very much for attention. Thank you, Secretary. Stay confident. Slava Ukraini.